Hey guys, welcome back to Murad on Run. In today's video, we will be talking about cons of studying in Canada. As you guys already know, I am recording like a series of 60 videos covering everything in Canada, everything a student needs to know. But one thing is important, that there are some cons also. We've talked about all the good things, but there are some cons also. So in this video, we will be decoding all those cons. So without further ado, let's directly jump into it. First of all, major problem which citizens as well as students face in Canada is that housing is expensive and damn expensive. Amongst the biggest bubbles across the financial sector as well as the housing sector, the biggest are in Vancouver and Toronto. Now in Toronto, first it used to be Vancouver. They have the highest housing bubbles going on, and housing prices and the rents that you're paying are skyrocketing. So first major con here is the amount that you'll be paying in rents would be very high. Now this is important not just while you're studying but also while you're doing job, because once you're doing job you want to save something, right? But if you're spending at least 30-40% of what you're earning in your rent only, that's not actually a very good thing, right? Second major con is COVID-19 disrupted lives of many people out here. Because of that, many students who used to work part-time in places were laid off. As a result, the demand of jobs started skyrocketing. The supply of jobs started to go down. Because of that, many people started working in the cash business, and cash businesses ideally pay you less. So that started to happen here in Canada. Now that's ending, but that was another major con which was there because of COVID. Another reason because of which you are not able to find jobs is because they are letting in refugees. First they let Afghans come in. Now they are also letting in Ukrainians come in, which I'm not ideally against because I actually love that move. But because of that, the number of jobs that there are out there for students have started going down. The entire unemployment rate in Canada is 5.1%, which is ideally higher than many other counterparts. So Australia and any other country that you look at, Germany, they do not have such high unemployment figures. But there is one thing which completely strikes out. The unemployment rate of people who are from the age of 16 till 25, the younger generation, the people who are usually international students, which includes international students, the unemployment rate there is 9.8%. I'm not saying that finding a job here is difficult, but finding the correct job here is very difficult. Fourth con in Canada right now is that the dollar is appreciating. Now, why is that a con for an international student? Ideally, a dollar was for 50 rupees. Now, the same dollar, same Canadian dollar is for 62 rupees. Now, because of that, everything around here is just 24% more expensive. So let's suppose you were paying 100 rupees for something, now you're paying 124 rupees for the same thing. So somewhere around 25%, so quarter of a rupee is what the prices have gone up by. At the same time, there is inflation. So there is inflation at the same time, dollar is getting stronger. So both these things are actually killing the students from within. The cost of living both in Toronto as well as Vancouver are increasing left, right and center. So entirely you will be spending somewhere around $2,200 in Vancouver and $2,700 in Toronto. So ideally, if we calculate that in Indian terms, you will be spending somewhere around 1.5 lakh to 1.8 lakh Indian rupees per month. If you're living a normal life, you can obviously save 20-30,000 here and there, but a normal life would cost you a lot. But at the same time, you could make a lot of money via working as well. But what I see here is students end up working 2 shifts, 3 shifts, so it gets a bit tough. You need to be ready for that. It is very common here for people working at 2 jobs. Very common. 2 part-time jobs is a very common scene here. Canadian healthcare system is free, but it ranks the last in terms of timeliness. What do we mean by that? So there are OECD countries, just that there are some developed countries, and in that timeliness, Canada ranks last. But why? It is because everything is free. Many people end up booking doctor appointments, and there are not ample number of doctors here. So as a result, what happens? The system is so pressurized that people have to go from Canada to United States for simple medical emergencies or simple medical procedures. Why? Because you will get a waiting time of 2 months. Let's suppose you have to meet a dermatologist, you'll have to wait for 2 months. it is rather better for a person living in Toronto or Vancouver. Obviously, all the major cities of Canada are like an hour, 2 hour, 5 hour drive away from USA. So they prefer going to United States for medical procedures rather than staying in Canada. Next con here in Canada is that immigration system used to be very easy, but now immigrating to Toronto or British Columbia, Ontario or British Columbia has started to get a bit difficult. So if you're planning to come to Canada, try to come as early as you can, because by every year, each passing year, I feel like that the getting a PR and getting a citizenship here in Canada is getting difficult and difficult. Climate. I mean, do I even need to talk about this? My family was telling me that here minus 30 degree, minus 40 degree is something which is very normal. Minus 30 is very, very normal. And you'll have to go to your college, go to your office, go to your work during this temperature. So if you do not like cold temperature, if you cannot stand cold temperature, Canada might not be the place you would want to come to. Next con is longer distances to everywhere. I'm trying to go from one place to another place in Canada. It will take me 2 hours. From Mississauga to anywhere towards downtown, it will take me 2 hours. So Canada is extremely big. And especially Toronto, it's extremely big. So if you're planning to come here, make sure that you're living very close. In fact, a person I knew as well thought that he has some relatives here, so he'll come to Toronto and study here and go to Humber College. His college ended up being 2.5 hours away from his house. So all the calculations that he had done, that I'll save on rent, I'll save on food, went for a toss, because 2.5 hours for going, 2.5 hours for coming back, it's actually a major expense. So always think that living is a big expense, and if you're planning to live with your family in Brampton or Mississauga and studying in Humber College, that's not gonna happen. One more con, or we can say a pro in Canada, is that the laws are a bit strict. As a result, what happens, you look at this card, right? I used to board the GO train without punching it. Don't tell. Anyhow, even if you tell this to anyone, I got caught for this. I had to pay a major fine for not using my card while boarding the train. In fact, it was just like 2 or 3 days for me in Toronto. I did not exactly know what I had to do. I did know what I had to do, but then I was like, chalo na, chalo karte hain. But I got into trouble. So make sure that if you're coming here, comply with the law. Left, right and center. Don't even think about cutting corners or doing anything like that. Just abide by the law. So that's one pro tip. My train is coming. Hopefully it is that. Yes, it's my train. So let's wrap this video up. Stress and multitasking is the last con, because as I said, there are many people who would be working 2 shifts a day. So it ends up being a big con. And with that, my train is here. Hope you liked this video. Do hit the like button and the subscribe button, and make sure to watch this video. And if you want to watch our entire series of videos in Canada, you could watch this playlist in which I'm covering 60 videos. Everything about Canada will be covered, and make sure to subscribe. With that being said, bye.